The history of human thought is punctuated by cycles of cataclysm and rebirth. We see this with Noah's flood, we see this with the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, the Age of Reason, and now, Authortubers, true believers, in strict accordance with the prophecies of the goat-herding tribes of the Arakanth Desert, Genestriti has descended from upon the high mountain and brought down to us mere mortals the new commandments for this new, redeemed age of Authortube. Yes, brothers and sisters, redemption is at hand, for now we have the Authortube Newbie Tag 2.0. Can I get a hallelujah from the congregation? Okay, I know one of you said it. Good evening, my gruesome little people, and I hope the evening finds you fine and well and dwelling happily on whatever particular branch you've Yggdrasil your present mortal form is currently occupying. It's tag o'clock here again on What Now? I should really start thinking about some original content. Yes, my messianic gibberings at the start of this video notwithstanding, the Authortube Newbie Tag 2.0 does exist among us, and I thought it would be a damn fine idea to join in, because you're also accepting of the nonsense I do anyway. I thought I might as well push that a little bit further. It is 12 or 14 new questions, and let's just get on with it, shall we? Because I've already filmed this video once before, but it came out at 40 minutes long, so there are going to be very, very few digressions in this video. He lied through his fucking teeth. Digression number 1, for instance. You may ask yourself, why oh why is he wearing a jacket indoors? Well, it's very simple really. I wanted to make this video, but I really couldn't be asked ironing a shirt. Why didn't he just put on an iron shirt? You may then ask yourself, well, it's because I couldn't be asked ironing any of them either. It's warm in here. Question 1. What's your book's pitch? If you have multiple works, choose your favourite. I do have multiple. I have a lot. I'm an endless fountain of ideas, plots and situations. I just happen to not be a font of endless drive and motivation and skill. But what I do have here is the pitch for my work in progress. I just realised that incredible reflection. That's really nice. Yes, I have the pitch for my work in progress because I was mandated by my university to make one. Part of my master's course was to actually write a pitch for a book, namely the one you were working on, so I have one in here sometime. I thought I could have found it by the time I'd finished drivelling, but I'm going to jump cut instead. Okay, what I actually have here is the edited down version that was used for the oral presentation rather than for the written submitted one. So what we have here is a MA and academically approved pitch for a book of 6 interconnected stories. Make of it what you will. This is for a book called The Dead Meat Sextet, and I hope you enjoy it. I enjoy it. I like it very much. In this collection of macabre comic tales, 6 very different people encounter 6 very different netherworlds as they face mortality and the dark absurdity that lies beyond. Whether damnation, salvation, or purgatory, these transformative experiences cross genres and realities into a bizarre parallel world where the only certainties are death and the softly smiling gentleman who's always ready to lend a hand. Ah, intrigue, no? Here's the problem with that pitch. I mean, it got me a good mark, so I'm not complaining there, but the chief problem with that is I don't get to pitch the individual stories. Because there are 6 of them and they'd all be about that length, and it ruins the idea of a pitch. You're all familiar with the idea of the elevator pitch, and by the time I'd actually pitched every single story within it and their interconnectivity, the agent I was pitching it to is off the elevator, onto the escalator, and thrown himself out of the fucking window. So, if by some chance my hideous jump cut there, because I completely forgot my term of endearment for you all. If any of you gruesome little people actually want to hear me witter on about my book, I will make a separate video for it, but let me know in the thing down there, because otherwise I'm just preening and peacocking, but frankly it could do with the attention, and also to try and prove that it does actually exist. So if anyone is interested in the Dead Meat Sextet, let me know and I will give it its own little advertising video. Question the second: if you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? I wouldn't ever. The very idea of self-publicity or revealing any private information, tangentially or otherwise, is totally anathema to me. Anathema, it's not good. The mind of Vonnegut, the soul of Pratchett, the body of Orson Welles. Available in hardback. The third question: what do you usually write? We have had arguments over this, over where exactly my work fits, and I think weird fiction is it's a bit of a broad umbrella term, sure enough, but it'll have to do speculative stuff, weird stuff, absurd stuff. I like liminal stories. I like to find places in the world, the actual physical world or the abstract world humans live in up here, and I like to find fault lines and stick a crowbar in it, give it a good wiggle, and write about whatever's squirming about inside. So I'd say weird fiction is what I do. I don't want to do that exclusively, but for the time being, that's very much where I found my niche. Funny stuff too. Funny and weird, that's what I do. That's what I do. What's something you'll never write? This is a tricky one, because almost everything I do is to do with genre blending, at least 2, sometimes up to 3. I know a lot of you have said you wouldn't want to write romance or erotica, and I can understand that entirely. I've never found romance an interesting enough subject to drive a story by itself. But it can be an interesting secondary or tertiary element, so I can't say I would never write that. As for something totally exclusively that, romance as a candidate, but also sword and sorcery fantasy. I don't like that at all. When it starts with the conlangs and it's not necessarily escapism, but when it's just piling genre markers on top of each other, I wouldn't want to write that sort of faux Tolkien without the Catholicism in it. So sword and sorcery or romance and erotica. But if I can combine the 2, I will write that immediately. I will write all the Hobbit porn you want. I swear to God. Yeah, good. Mind you, divergence number 2. Having seen the kind of short stories that get flogged on Amazon Kindle publisher, you can make a pretty penny by writing some weird bloody erotica. It's like the whole gay Bigfoot thing. So maybe I'll come up with a pseudonym and just write really bizarre erotica, write really, really weird stuff. Because you know it's going to appeal to someone. Somebody will buy it. So the only trick is, can you actually come up with something that will out-weird the weirdos? Nobody is handing me this challenge. Nobody is throwing down this gauntlet, but I am willing to pick it up if anybody asks. Which they won't, but I'll do it anyway. One day. Question 5. What's your goal for starting an Authortube channel? Well, I think I was rather upfront and honest about this the first time round. I was told as part of my course to find an online presence, but the idea of doing the whole Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, blah, blah, it just annoyed me so much. At least here you get to actually make something and hang out with interesting people. So this was my attempt at setting up a platform for myself. But I don't know how to sell or market myself, so I'll just do exactly what seems to come natural, and people seem to be turning up. People keep subscribing. Welcome to the new people. Why you're here, I'll never know, but I'm not gonna press that point too far. Yes, it was to establish a platform for myself, give a face to the words, which none of you have seen. You're more familiar with my actual voice than my narrative voice. But yes, a platform, and it's sort of developed into being a part of this little community, even if it is, if it was a big party, I'm sort of the weird uncle from out of town, or at least out of continent for most of you, that you haven't seen for ages, but you have to be polite to all the same. So yes, platform and community. 2 words that if I use too often, I will vomit blood. Question 6. What made you want to start writing? There's a problem with this question because it suggests at any point I had a choice. In my experience, writing fiction isn't something you choose to do, and you can usually tell the people who have chosen to do it, if you know what I mean. There's no judgment here, but it's what's the word? It's graphomania or graphophilia, something like the overwhelming urge to. No, it's graphomania. It must be mania. Yeah, I can't not do it, if you know what I mean. From as soon as I was able to write, I started making up stories and creatures and adventures and just looking at things the wrong way and trying to, like looking at the world down the wrong end of a kaleidoscope and seeing what happens. But the other part of it, I suppose, was still here? Okay. Won't go into it in too much detail, but the long and the short of it is, my brain doesn't work. And I don't mean that in a cutesy way. I don't mean that in an adorable, comes with an accompanying emoji kind of way. I mean it's pretty fragmented, and one of my major issues is I don't get along with reality perception all that well. Psychotic is the word that we're tiptoeing around here. So when it comes to writing fiction, it's sort of a balm for a burn, if you know what I mean. Writing fiction when you have a the broken vase stuck back together kind of thing. What's that great line in Hogfather? He had a brain like a broken mirror, but it was sharp, it was beautiful, but utterly and irrevocably broken. Dealing with weird fiction and strange characters and being able to describe things that don't exist really does ease the pressure of this particular cocktail of diagnoses. But it's a double-edged sword because it also it's not only the extinguishing fluid, it's also the accelerant. So the flame gets stronger, so you need more, so you end up in this constant loop, and you tread a very fine line between what is real and what is not. But yeah, I don't have a choice in what I do. And if I can't make this work, I'm sort of screwed. So there we are. My YouTube channel, my Authortube channel, is one of the few that actually has a ticking clock. What's your publishing path? Self-publish, traditional publish, hybrid, haven't decided yet, or just write for fun? I don't write just for fun. I'm wrestled out of my bed in the wee small hours of the morning by demons and forced to do this. But I have, because I've seen most of you have done videos on this subject, but if you favour traditional publishing or if you favour self-publishing, you will get arsehole reactions for both. There are go-to nonsensical reactions to both conclusions. Here's my standpoint. With the democratising of self-publishing, it's different from the vanity press of old. It's its own creature now, and some people do greatly out of it. I've got a couple of friends who are very interested in using self-publishing because the work they're doing is essentially kryptonite to an agent, and it may not be possible for them to get anywhere in the mainstream. And in that regard, democratizing, I completely see the appeal. Speaking personally, the reason I am drawn towards traditional publishing is, well, I'll allow myself a moment's trumpet blowing, a moment's peacocking. On the one hand, it is to do with the fact that people I know who have gone through the whole industry have read what exists of my book so far and gone, yeah, this will get you an agent. This will go the distance, which is always very nice to hear once they pick you back up off the floor. But the real reason is that, to me, and this is a totally personal response, writing fiction and making a book is as close to a genuine act of real magic as can exist in our world. You are taking something that exists purely as thought, and you are making it manifest into an interactive, physical, material entity in the world. I realise that with Amazon Publishing, you can also get the paperback version, but to take something that is abstract and make it material, that exists independent of yourself, would be genuine satisfaction to me as a creator. It's rather like if you make a child, if you have sex and then you have a child, you expect them to one day go out into the world on their own 2 feet and interact with other people because they are their own independent entity. Does that make sense? And by no means averse to the idea of self-publishing. Chances are I probably will end up using it. I would just rather do the other side of it. There's no good answer to that. It's the 8th question. What content do you bring to the Authortube table? I was unaware there was an Authortube table, and I'm rather put out that I haven't been invited to it up until now. It makes me think that you've all been going out and not extending an invitation to me. It feeling a little bit like Billy No Mates here. What do you mean, Authortube table? What, like at a convention or something? Why wasn't I invited? Honestly. Ooh. No, content that I bring. Well, this. Clearly just this and nothing more. There's me and there's the skull, and that's the long and the short of it. No, it's informal, it's whimsical in a slightly macabre way. It's irreverent, sideways thinking. You'll see that with the videos that I do after this that I do in fact have planned. What I want you to think of this channel as is 2 things. First of all, I want you to think of it as just occupying that really good table at the bar. Just casual, quiet, slightly meandering, informal chit-chat with a good friend. And on the other hand, you know how you can be walking around in the town of a summer's day, and on the high street or main street, I think my transatlantic friends will say, there'll always be one lunatic with a placard shrieking Bible verses and talking about the end of the world and the proximity of demons. I want you to think of me as the Authortube equivalent of that guy. I'm the Authortube doomsday preacher. That's who I am. But with a heart of gold, I like to think. A heart of gold, namely hard, shiny, and cold to the touch. No, consider what now your one-stop shop for urbane oddities and delightful tangents. Willy Wonka with a 2-drink minimum. The 9th question, as played by Christopher Eccleston. What's your biggest writing struggle? Actually writing. Frankly, I have the most terrible time translating what goes on in here to here. And the less said about the pen or the keyboard, the better. Getting that initial momentum going. I know they say that it's not how much you write in a day, but that you write in a day, and even if it's only a few sentences or just a couple of words, it just builds up that. I understand that sentiment entirely, but the sheer frustration of it, I may make a video at some point in the future going into this question properly, because it's a little close to home. But yet, getting that momentum going and properly translating what's going on in my head, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to put across, is, I find, remarkably difficult. Lately, it never used to be a problem, but just lately, it's become a real pain. So, momentum and the motivation to not only keep going, but to actually start going. The 10th question, as played by Christopher Eccleston, as it turned out that the 9th question, the actual 9th question, was really played by John Hurt. It's a whole thing. What's your best writing skill? You tell me. This doesn't seem like something that I should answer, but something people who have read my work should answer. What have people said? People are very nice about my narrative voice. They bring that up quite a bit. My free indirect speech has been the cause of much joy and exasperation, which is exactly the balance I like to aim for. My characters, my dialogue, I can do scenes well. There we are. I can get all the individual elements into one particularly striking scene, and I can make it do what I want it to do. Struggle a bit more with stitching them all together into one coherent whole, but the totality of a striking scene, a segment, a moment, that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm here for. And if you'll believe that, you'll believe bloody anything. So, given the audience and given the clientele, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that you've seen Jim Henson's Labyrinth. So you'll be familiar with that film's interpretation of the famous riddle about the two doors, or the two guards. So behind one door is safe passage, and behind the other door lies certain death. Here's the kicker. One guard can only ask you, if you've been on YouTube for a while, what's your best Authortube tip? And the other guard can only ask you, if you're new to Authortube, what is your biggest Authortube question? What is a boy to do? I have too many questions about everything, so I'll just go with the first one. If you've been on YouTube for a while, what's your best Authortube tip? Don't do what I do. Or rather, do what I don't. Namely, don't leave massive gaps between your videos. Plan ahead. Film a few at once so you keep that content going. It seems to me that operating an Authortube platform, like writing itself, is like toning a muscle. And, well, look at me, I'm not exactly a man who knows all that much about toning muscles, but you've got to keep that going, so it doesn't matter even if it's just a little vlog or just a meandering little thought. Just have something going to keep that platform active, keep that blood flowing, keep that oxygen pumping. Think of it like a body. Well, not this body, you'd get arrested if you had a body like mine, but yeah. Just keep making something. Tomorrow I will be making a stack of them just to overcome this problem. That's my big tip. Plan ahead and keep them going. You've started now, don't stop. Please, because I will have nothing else to watch. Have you been on YouTube? There's like 4 videos. For those of you who are superstitious, it's question 12A. Are you looking for any new channels to follow? Betas, CPs, or other types of writer buddies? If so, tell us what you're looking for and connect with them in the comments. What in the name of the Devil's Brimstone ball bag is a CP? I choose to believe that CP stands for Chaos Pringles, in which case I really, really do want them. It might mean collaborative projects. Yeah, I'm up for that. Anybody wants to collaborate, I'm all for that, if indeed that is what it means. I mean, CP might mean something diabolically sexual, in which case, yeah, I'm cool for that as well, but what on earth? We'll get on with the question. I'm here for whatever you can give me. I didn't expect anyone at all, to watch any single one of my videos, let alone subscribe, which they keep doing, or commenting, which they keep doing. So really, this is already above and beyond my expectations. So yeah, I'm here for whatever you can give me. I'm your dancing monkey boy. I'm your dancing English bear. I'll do whatever the hell you tell me. Writing buddies, bring it. Let's be friends, you and I. That's what we can get along with. As betas. So I've noticed recently, since it's been becoming more difficult for me to write originally for reasons, that I've become a much better beta and proofreader and editor of other people's work. And for any of you who are actively betas for people, but also suffer from tremendous writer's block like I do, you've probably experienced something similar in the vein of when you're at the table and the pen is hovering in your hand, or you're hunched like a plucked vulture over the keyboard, just waiting for something to come, and you're bleeding intensely from the eyes, and there's only dust and moths and sandstorms inside the cracking, almost terracotta-like confines of your cranial cage, and nothing happens. There is no original thought, there is no creativity, there is no writing. You simply cannot write anymore. But the absolute second that another writer says, I can't do this, I'm having a really hard time, well, all of a sudden it's, Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? That kind of shit. So at the moment, I'm not exactly looking for betas, but I will be in the future. But I won't tell anyone that I've chosen them as a beta. I'll just turn up at their house like the fucking mafia, present them with a manila envelope, and say, mum's the word, and then I'll, like Kaiser Soze. Oh no, you can't make that reference anymore, can you? I'll leave it in. This is a bit of an edgy channel. About as edgy as anything gets. But yes, whatever you've got, let's be friends, you and I. And we can make something of this damned crazy world we call the Authortube community. I wonder how many subscribers I've just lost with the last 2 segments. Ye gods, it's the last question. 14. What are you most excited for during this new fresh start on Authortube? Well, doing all the things I've mentioned previously, properly. Actually getting to know you people, actually being a part of this community, actually doing something with my platform, because Lord knows I am rapidly coming to the end of my masters, so there'll be nothing else to distract me. I'm terminally unemployed, so there's always that. So yes, just using this as a way of charting the progression of my book, hopefully making some of you laugh, because that's all I'm here for. I'm not a writer, you know, I'm a clown. That's what I'm here for, to try and make people laugh and give them a good time. I'll just put that where it's safe. But yes, new start for Authortube. New start for what now? I'm just going to use it to do this platform properly. I can't think of anything better to do with this camera and this microphone. I can think of better things to do with this tripod, because it was one of those cheap aluminium ones that came with a pack, and the better thing I could do with it would be to stick it up my arse. But I don't think I could get an Authortube video out of that. And if I could, I'm in the wrong community. I'm rambling now. Did I mention it is very warm in here? But yes, that is the Authortube Newbie Tag 2.0. The renaissance, the rebirth of Authortube after the calamity. The tag has put a rainbow up in the sky after the ark is free. A little bit of biblical humour for you there. And it's what now 2.0, I suppose. So yes, this is the world of inane chatter, dark musings, meanderings, and in the next few videos you'll see fun yet informative rants and tangential musings about the process of fiction writing. So if that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, either passively or actively, then like, comment, subscribe, because it will only ever encourage me. And like a vampire, you have now invited me into your mind space. So yes, let's be writer friends. Comment down below and we'll become immediate best friends. Comment twice and who knows where it will lead. I have a Twitter as well, apparently. I occasionally forget that I have one, and then I remember, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I just need to talk to somebody. So you can follow me on that, more YouTube, wrapping up things. Yes, the whole collaboration thing. Like many an unemployed actor, I am available for anything. If you want this to be featured on your Authortube video, just let me know and we'll work it out. Or don't, I won't hold it against you, and how will I ever know? I'm going to go and sit in some cold water now. I'm very much a polar creature, and suddenly it's warm in England. You don't know how horrifying this is. So I'm going to get the hell out of here, cool down, and probably forget everything I've just said until I'm editing it and film it again. Good evening.